similar to the plan that I gave you last time. I just like, it's kind of just like the hand in hand
Right.
2.0 version right now.
Well,
And so I have it, yeah. So I have it like pretty far the way there. There's a few final touches, like just making sure all the things are labeled correctly and such. And then I was hoping to get it over to, and I think it's called InDesign is the program that they use to make it look really nice. And I was just wondering, you know, I obviously can go through it today and talk about the changes I made and send it to you guys tonight. Or if you wanted, I could just move it to InDesign and send it to you in like the finalized version. I just don't know like how many emails you want to get about this. Like, do you want to see it along the way, or are you cool with just getting the final one? So just let me know and I'll cater to your wants.
Okay. I think that probably just put it into InDesign. The content, I think we're pretty comfortable with. And a lot of times you just really can't tell until it's in a final version. It's like the closer you get to print, the more mistakes you'll find. And you won't, the last mistakes you'll find is after it's gone to press and everybody's got it in their hand. It's just the way it is. So yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just put it into them and then send it to us before our next meeting so we can kind of review it. And then at our next meeting, we will tweak it and then make it ready for the trustees.
Perfect. Yeah. And like I said, you know, it's not any major content changes that I did. I kind of enhanced, added a few extra charts and such, and made it even nicer.
Right. Hi, Simon.
Hey, Ronnie. Hey, Rachel.
Rachel and I were just talking. She asked if we wanted to see an interim version or wait and see the version of the community or climate action plan after the InDesign, their designers get hold of it. And I said, just wait and send us the final. That would be the best way for us to see it next, I think. And
I'm good at that. Surprise us, Rachel.
yeah.
I'm sure it's wonderful.
Yeah, it'll be great. If it's anything like the our first document, then
Yeah, I thought the first draft was great, and the changes that I think we'd put together at the last meeting, incorporate those, and then I was looking forward to this graphics package.
Yeah, so
yeah, I think it'll look a lot. Yeah, I mean, I thought it looked okay last time, but I think it'll look even nicer. We're hoping maybe to get it like in line with the greenhouse gas inventory, so they look like partner documents in a way,
sure.
And then get, you know, your guys' logo as well as our logo on there.
Okay.
And then if you want later today when we have the agenda item, I can just like briefly walk you through some of the major changes, but like
Okay.
none of it's going to be that crazy for you guys. So.
All right. Yeah, we can do that. All right. I'm going to call the meeting to order then. It is 6:05 p.m. This is August 19th, Climate Smart Communities Task Force meeting. I apologize for not having minutes. This past month was just one of those months, if you know what I mean. So we'll go through the status items. The climate action plan will postpone till after the other status items. We'll talk about that later. The energy benchmarking, I have submitted that, I think, to NYSERDA, and I have not confirmed the benchmark yet. I still need to wait for the resolution. I'm sorry, I submitted to NYSERDA. I'm having a real problem getting anyone from NYSEG to send me the last year's utility bills. I've sent them an email, sent a request, got a request back that I'd hear from them in 3 to 5 days. 2 weeks later, I hadn't heard anything, so I called and they said, okay, we'll put someone right on it. Still haven't heard. So I'm going to have to escalate and go upstream to a manager or supervisor and someone and say, you know, please get us this information. It should be pretty easy for someone to pull that out of their database and just send us a snapshot of last year's.
Feel free to CC me on that. My coworker Todd has some good connections in NYSEG and NYSERDA. So if you're not getting a response in a timely fashion, he can sometimes get to people's like real inboxes and get people looking at it quicker. So just let me know if that's still an issue.
Well, I've tried to make allowances for the pandemic and, people being low on staff or people just being consumed with other things, but I've given them about 6 weeks. That should be plenty enough. But once it comes in, I can actually input that data, and because we only have 1 year's worth of data in there, and that's kind of sketchy as far as Energy Star, the portfolio manager, is concerned. It needs a couple of years to kind of get the ball rolling. So you've got 12 months of data everywhere. So anyway, I'll continue to pursue that, and hopefully by the next meeting we'll have it in and ready to go and just start tracking from year to year. So the next thing are the solar farms New York status. Anything new, Simon?
No, so I found out, so we have 15 signups, and I confirmed with Jody that we have 15 checks, so we got $1,500. Only 4 of those signups came from within the village, though. So we're getting people from from outside of the village, which is great because we're getting people to sign up to solar power, which helps promote solar energy. We're getting $100 check for every person, so the villagers receive $1,500. But I was just kind of surprised that only 4 of those came from within the village. We had one from another county. We had one from Seneca County that signed up through our CEP. So that was interesting. I've got the information out once again because I tied it into the HeatSmart webinar information. So that'll, you put it on the village website, Ronnie. That went out to, I think, 4 different listservs. It was back in the Lansing Ledger. And then I sent it out to all of the village staff and officials. So yeah, the info's out there. I was going to wait, I don't want to just keep bombarding people with it and sending it over and over and over again because people get a little bit sick of it. So I was waiting until we have some new information that I could give. So I was hoping, I was going to speak to Lisa, and maybe just in the webinar, if we have people, good attendance, just drop that in as an additional slide in the presentation to say this is something else that the village has going on. But then the one bill, consolidating to one bill, is meant to happen in September now. So as soon as we get onto one bill, then I was thinking I'll send out the information again because that's something new, and maybe that'll be a hurdle that people need to overcome to sign up for this, because I don't want to be receiving 2 bills. So they just continue to receive NYSEG bills, and it's a smooth process and easy to understand. Because I did have someone contact me and asking about the billing process, and I said that it would be on 2 bills until August or September, and they said they were going to wait because they didn't want to receive multiple bills. So I can get the information back out again once I have something new to present, and hopefully we'll get a few more people. But otherwise, at least we've still got the $1,500 coming in. And then for the HeatSmart, we'll obviously, we're pushing that webinar back until September, and hopefully we'll get some participants. And if we tie it in with the town of Lansing, hopefully a few people show up and attend that. I'm customer number 1 though. I just got a quote yesterday for heat pumps here. So I got to discuss the cost with Monica. We want to go ahead and do it. We've just got to prioritize some things, but maybe we'll be customer number 1 there. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Well, I was thinking that for the solar farms and for the HeatSmart, quite frankly, a good time might be within our fall newsletter to that would be another contact point, because hopefully by then the single bill issue would have been resolved, and it would be another reminder and a good way of saying, well, the village has already received $1,500 because 15 customers, 4 of which are from the village, have actually signed up. So if we can promote the the popularity of the program, maybe some more in the village would get involved. So that would be a
Yeah.
good time to do another one without a whole lot of work, and it would give you get to check off that box. I've got my articles for Jody's newsletter.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea too. I think the timing will work out because that'll probably be October, right? And
Yeah.
hopefully people,
Maybe
yeah, that's about when,
December. Yeah.
yeah, and that's about when people start turning the heat on as well. So maybe they'll start thinking about power usage once again.
Right.
Remind them that we'll have a cold winter and they're going to need, they should start thinking about solar, even though it's winter.
Right. No, I think that's good. Okay, so the next thing then, Rachel, would be the climate action plan. If you could just kind of go through the major changes that have happened, and no need, if you wanted to present something, obviously you can, but if you want to just kind of step us through what's going to happen, and then the projected plan for getting it to InDesign, and then a copy out to us.
Sure. Can I share my screen with you guys?
Oh, no, not until I say you can.
I'll wait my turn. I just want to go through it. If I go through the document, I can be sure that I don't miss something.
Miss something. Okay.
Okay. So the plan for this, I got the final reviews last week. So I've been frantically, from my teammates, frantically trying to incorporate their suggestions and get it into the document. And it's not it wasn't anything major. It was just more supporting evidence and things like that. So most of this intro will look pretty similar. I might have changed some of the wording around, especially in this previous characteristics. And then one addition I did was put in some maps of regional climate. This is from March to May this past year. Unfortunately, does a great job of being exemplary for what we're showing, because it was both hotter than normal and drier. And then this is the winter ones. Here we can see that what we expect, winter precipitation, is still happening, but it's varied, but it is getting warmer, so it's likely that this winter precipitation is more in snow than in rain than snow or ice. And then for this section, I'm not quite sure how this will look exactly in the InDesign. I might have Theodora break it up into smaller chunks, so it's not just one giant table. So that is to be decided upon. I'm going to let her design mine.
Okay.
Think about that.
Yeah.
But it's all the same content again. Oh, and I've added in just brief explanations of each of the graphics and tables that I have. And I also just did a little bit of reorganizing, and I put your ongoing initiatives in with the history of the plan development and the outreach. That was just a little shuffling around. And then for your greenhouse gas inventory, I just again wrote more information about each figure and and more standalone, and just continue to provide more evidence. Not much has changed in that section, but in your climate emissions and goals and strategy section, I added just a little bit about the village of Lansing and where you compare to New York State's CLCPA goals, which is 85% in reduction of their greenhouse gas emissions from 1990 to 2050. Oh, I think I forgot to write that it was from 1990, so I'll just write star.
Okay.
1990, because that is a little different than you. So you guys are using a baseline year of 2019 and you're only going to 2036, whereas they use a baseline year of 1990, but they're going out to 2050. So that's one change I made. And I also said that in a 5-year review of this document, you would update and plan beyond 2036. All that can be changed if you want to. I just put a little bit to just give some framing of where you are in comparison to the state. And then for your action strategies, one thing I did, and this was at the request of my teammates, is they actually wanted to see some of this information that I'd had I just put the charts at the end so I could do them sideways. So that's why I scrolled down if that was confusing. But they'll be right in the text normally. I just couldn't do that for in a Word document. But basically, I added 2 more columns. Before it was just implementation path and notes, and I added this emissions impact estimate and timeframe estimate, just because they were struggling to try to figure out, okay, like where was your priorities and such, what was your timeline? And I know some of that is still being decided upon, like what you want to do first, what you want to do later, but at least now this gives them a little bit better understanding of like what might be a short-term versus a long-term project for you guys, and what you think might have a high versus lower impact. So these are directly from the PowerPoint slides. They're just in like, instead of nice pictures, I wrote them out. And again, like, I'm very careful to say that this is estimates and things can change this, but it's right. Again, just to kind of frame the understanding, and all of this definitely can get updated with time as well. So that's the major changes with those tables. The tracking mechanisms stay the same. This is the partner organizations that we talked about adding, with this a little bit of information. If you want that blurb enhanced, we definitely can. And then this is the acknowledgements we talked about. Again, we can add anyone we want. And then I added some sources and further information. So that way we have it all available. So those are the major changes. Not too much, as I said. Most things were pretty logical. So I don't foresee any major issues with any of that. My plan is to just like finalize it, do one more last round of edits, because as you guys know, when you're going through and making changes, like suddenly your tenses are all weird, and you just need to read it through, maybe after like sleeping on it and having some clean eyes. So I'm going to do that, send it over to Theodora, and I'm hoping that this next week, we have one-on-ones every Tuesday, so I'll definitely get to talk to her about it then. So I'm hoping in the next week or two to get it into like a final draft format, and then I can get that over to you guys. I was hoping that I would have this rough draft done earlier this week so I could send it to you before this meeting, but just because there's been a lot of things going on with the CEC program for other towns, everybody got like a little delayed. Oh, but on a random tangential note, they have started interviewing for the new CEC coordinator for Tompkins County. So hopefully that person will be starting relatively soon.
Okay, well, that's good to know. That's great, great. Yeah, there's no problem with getting this done. With the pandemic, it's just, we have to just do it as best we can. And I agree with you, this is all just an estimate. And once we got this document in place, and really start looking at it and start looking on how to implement, I think that we'll probably adjust things as far as priorities, and maybe extend things out, make some more data-based predictions on what we can and can't do. But for a start, this gives us something to shoot at and something to start discussing. And that's the important part, I think, for the village.
Awesome.
Any comments, Simon, on your part?
Yeah, Rachel, did you add anything about revisiting or reviewing the climate action plan, and the village reviewing it? I think we
yes,
I talked about reviewing it yearly.
Oh, sorry, I muted myself. I did add some of that in the next steps section. So that would be another place to look to make sure that it's following what you were thinking of. But yes, let me look at the exact wording I used. I believe it was a yearly. Yes, on a yearly basis, the task force will review this action plan and evaluate its effectiveness. And at the point of review, the task force may amend or update the document in any way you guys see fit.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's great. And I think the probably the most natural cycle for us to start looking at this is when we start preparing for and discussing our budget, because we'll know kind of what things we would want to look at and what we might have to budget for, what we could or could not afford. And that would actually drive some of that. And that will happen, I guess, in late winter, early spring. we will start looking at that. That'll give us some time to kind of look at the document and discuss it among the CSC task force and maybe take some questions from the trustees and even planning board members. And then at our next budget cycle, maybe start planning some of this in.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that sounds great. Glad to hear that it seems like all the changes are changes that you're down for, and that the time frame sounds good. So just like normal, any thoughts or comments or questions, send them my way as regarding to the plan. But otherwise, I'll just keep you guys updated.
One question I do have is on the executive summary. Are you going to need us to write that?
I am going to draft one up. And if you guys don't like what I write there, feel free to write over me, but I will put one in there. I just wanted to make sure the flow and all the sections were settled, and then kind of just write it off of that. So that's why I left it for last. It's generally like your abstract is what you write last, right before you're done. So it is a little silly, but yeah, I will fill something out there.
I just wanted to see if you needed us to do that after you give us the final draft, or we would have something. No, I agree. We've got to kind of think about the executive summary is kind of a pitch to people who aren't really intrinsically tied into this process, kind of explain why we're doing this and what we hope to get out of it, and what's important, etc. So, okay.
Yeah, people might not read the rest of the document, but they might read the summary. So and yeah, and if you do, like, if there is a section, or if you do want like a little bit written by you guys, that definitely can happen. Just let me know, and we'll figure out a way to put it in.
I think that I know I think once we see it in final draft, it'll start settling in, and we can see if, oh yeah, there's something we need to add here to clarify between sections, or clarify a little bit. But so far it looks great.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about the final one.
That's when we'll start tearing it apart. Oh, we don't like it. Oh, the font's horrible. It's too small.
It's too colorful.
Well, it's like once
black
you get
and
the
white,
final
right?
thing, you realize what you're settling with. So, but I also, like, I'm certain there might be some like in design choices that we make that you guys might not like, and it's the final document and it's your document. So feel free to tell it to us and let us know.
We will. That's what we did in the greenhouse gas inventory. We made some minor things, so that's normal. But I think the current plan that we've got, that you're going to do and get it done within this next month or so, sounds good to me. And we'll look forward to talking about it at our our September meeting. Where's this year going? Stuck at home, and I feel like it's flashing by.
It feels like it still should be April.
I know. Anyway, September is right around the corner. You know what that means, fall, and then you know what that means. Okay, so the next part of this, Simon, I don't know if you and I can do this by ourselves. We can give it a pretty good shot. I wanted to start looking at maybe the pledge element 5 and 6, or if we want to skip over and do a pledge element further down the list, that's fine too. I don't know if you've had a chance to really look at it very much. I will, let me share.
I still have that pledge element that I need to work on. I think it's in 6, just off the top of my head, but about the walkability of the village. But I was going to work with Larry on.
Right.
Now that we've passed the sidewalk local law.
Yeah, it's a little closer to having something to show for it. I'm looking for, oh, there we go. Sure. All right, so I will. There we go. All right. So pledge element 5 is climate smart materials management. 6 is climate smart land use. I don't know. Do we want to? I can open up these. We can go through them one by one, or do you want to kind of look at the high level pledge element titles and see if there's a better place to start?
Yeah, I mean, if you just want to open them up one by one and quickly skim through.
Okay. is that large enough for you to read?
Yeah, I can see that fine. Yeah.
How about you, Rachel? Okay, all right. So solid waste audit, we had planned in our initial, rapid run through the pledge elements, we had planned to do some sort of solid waste audit. I don't have much more details than that written in our notes. So this is one of those, we plan to do it, but we might not know until we actually get into the details whether we want to or not. The recycling bins, I think we do have recycling bins. We just have to probably document those. Organic waste program for government buildings. I don't know if we have anything within the village for organic waste. I know that we offer the county program for our residents to use, but I'm not sure there's anything inside, but we can check on that too. And Simon, speak up if you disagree or have additional input. Construction and demolition waste policy. It seems like there's a little bit of that in our code, but not a lot of details. I think you're supposed to, I shouldn't say that. You're supposed to actually remove all waste, but probably this is, how to best use the waste. Can it go into a recycling or a reuse facility?
So for this action, construction and demolition waste policy is the one you're talking about.
Yes.
You can get 2 points for adopting legislation or policies related to it, and then 4 more points for implementing a program to reuse that waste material.
So which one was this? You cut out for a second there.
That was the construction and demolition waste policy.
Okay.
We don't do, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. We don't do a lot of construction and demolition, but then we do when it comes to pipes and water lines, sewer lines, et cetera. But those, I guess we could look at something. Is there any way to reuse any materials that are the result of that? I guess it's a good question for John and his crew, because I've seen that when they pull old fire plugs and old pipes and culverts and everything, they'll put it up by the DPW office. But from that point, I don't know what happens. It may be that they've already got a policy where they send those into a recycling center or a reuse center, just normal. And all we would have to do is document how they do that. I know
and it's worth your time to at least adopt a policy, it sounds like,
right.
if you want those 2 points.
Right. And then if the implementation would say, well, during these projects, we had this waste of old pipes and it was sent to such and such facility. So we'll just find out. So I think that that's a possibility too. Recycling program for public places and events. We shouldn't have a major problem with putting that in place. We don't have a lot of events. We do have our community room where we have recycling bins. And we, at our event last Sunday for Mayor Hartill, we had recycling barrels in place for people to put recycling materials in, so that it wasn't just treated as waste. So we can probably put something like that together. I don't think we're going to get a lot of points, but some of this is just a matter of getting rolling on the materials management. Waste reduction education program. I think we would probably rely on the county and state resources. I don't know what we would do as a village, but we could look at these. Promoting waste reduction. It's again, I know that we make available the recycling centers materials within our village, and we could probably start putting things up on our website.
Would that suffice? I was thinking the same thing. If we put it up on the website, or if that goes out into the village newsletter, pointing people in the right direction, so that they can attend webinars or programs. Is that enough? Because I don't think we could do it on our own. I don't think we could host a webinar and get enough people. But just pointing them in the right direction, is that sufficient? Do you know, Rachel?
I'm looking at the documentation now. So it doesn't, there's definitely, you can like produce, send out materials and such, websites, links and flyers. And they do mention webinars. I don't know if you can like tie in with other people's webinars, but basically to obtain points for this action, all they say you have to do is, implement some sort of waste reduction, composting, or recycling campaign to educate the public and encourage waste reduction and recycling. So I see, no problem if you were to do some sort of flyering campaign where you took available posters about or kind of like created your own from what's available about waste reduction and recycling. I think that would be fine. They do have some links on the action to just some recycling programs and educational sources that would be helpful. But I think because it's a smaller project and you can't get too many points from it, that you don't have to do too much work for this. It's only the 2 points possible.
Yeah, we'll just find. Go ahead, Simon.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to just look into what is available in terms of education in the area. And then once we know what resources we have, then we can figure out how to direct people to them.
I agree.
So I can get onto that, and I was thinking just with the construction demolition waste policy, I can just shoot an email or give John a call and just ask what they currently do.
Yeah.
Particularly with like metal pipe. I mean, if they're already sending it off to a recycling facility, which I'm sure they are, is that a policy or is that just what they do? And if that, I'm sure that's what they do, and then we can just write it up as a policy that scrap like that. Anything that can be recycled is recycled.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's pretty low hanging fruit there.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of this is low hanging. The residential organic waste program. We have sponsored a drop-off point on village property for several years for people to come by on Saturday mornings and bring their organic waste into collection bins that are taken by the recycling center and converted into compost. So we already have that in place. We just have to document that what we've done. And we've actually let them build a shed on our property where they can keep barrels there, and they just open that up every Saturday morning, pull out the bins and allow people to drop off the materials. They did that so that people wouldn't just come by and throw materials in bins when no one was there, because it would create a stink. So they wanted to kind of monitor and control when the bins were filled and when they were basically taken away. The waste was taken away. So we've already done some of this. So I think this one there probably aren't a large amount of points to be made, but I think these are fairly easy points to gain. So we will start on this project. Let me see. Simple solid waste. I'll check on this one.
Yeah, for the residential organic waste program, the drop-off food waste that you're talking about, that would be 4 points, so definitely worth it. Do you have in the Village of Lansing curbside pickup for yard waste during the year, or do they have to drop it off?
What we have is a spring and fall brush pickup where we gather up limbs of a certain diameter, no longer than 6 feet, about a pickup truck bed's worth of limbs and so forth that people have either cut or have fallen off trees. Those are the two things we have. but we do not pick up yard waste through the village.
Okay.
We don't contract with any corporation for waste management. That's county or private that right now that does that. So there's nothing that we do as a municipality.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not quite sure if the tree pickup would count, but there is another 4 points available if you did curbside yard waste program for twice a year. So that would, spring and fall would work, but I'm not sure if it would have to be like all sorts of yard waste or if the limbs would count on its own.
Right. We've discussed it with John over the years. His concern, most of it is related to grass clippings or fall leaf collection. And his concern is that as people stack those up to be picked up, wind and rain and cars hitting bags and so forth just makes nothing but a mess. And that all goes into our stormwater system collection points and causes real problems. So we rely on individuals to take care of that themselves, just to prevent that. That might change down the road, I don't know, but right now we don't have a large enough DPW staff to do that. If we did it, we would have to contract with a business like Casella or someone to come by and do that, and then it would be a cost for the village. So we would have to weigh that. Organic waste program for government buildings. Oh wait, let's skip one. Recycling bins. I'll research that one again. I know we've got them. It's just how to best document them.
Be happy to do the construction and demo waste and the waste reduction education.
Okay, I skipped one. Organic waste. I'll do this at the same time I'm doing the other. All right. I don't mind doing this one. It's kind of all related anyway. I'll look for an example of a program that we can implement and just kind of write something up. And the waste reduction, this is Simon.
I can do the last one there too, and we split a little more even.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
We don't have recycling bins in the parks though, do we? Currently, it's just trash.
It's just trash. That's all. But for the events, at least I know that I was asked by the DPW crew when we scheduled the event for Don Hartill, did we want recycling bins? So if there's an event, that's one of their questions when someone schedules an event, and if so, they bring their recycling bin and make it available for that event. So it's just a matter of documenting that and where and how to document that, that we do that. Okay. And Simon, I just put your name in this first one, but it's kind of all of these things.
Yep.
Obviously, if there's anything, if there's a question or if you need help with any of those, just let me know.
Yep.
And some of this we can eventually get Lynn to help us, and maybe Jerry. I'm not sure. We'll see. So that's saved. So let's go to 6 now. The ones that are deprecated, I left those in there just so we know. Comprehensive plan with sustainability, check. I think the sustainability is in there, but I'm not sure to what depth it's there. Unified solar permit. Do you remember hearing anything about the unified solar permit when you were working on this with solar farms, Simon?
Nope. No.
That's for solar.
No, I
installation.
don't. No.
Okay, I know that the county has one. Permit. But I don't know if we would want to use that. We would have to look at it. And this one is county level action. The complete streets policy, we kind of were looking at that with the sidewalk policy too, weren't we?
I think that's almost getting a little outside of our scope, because I always felt as though you needed to be almost like a city size to have a complete street for,
Village too
you know,
small
vehicles and
for complete street.
walking and cycling all. I wasn't sure. I mean, I could research that a little more, because I would do the infrastructure for bicycling and walking, but because that ties into the sidewalk
Yeah, somewhat. And we don't
policy.
do any major developments. I think that some of that's kind of a tangential discussion during the planning board developers conference, and when they're going through their site plans, you know, what do you intend to do? Are you going to have sidewalks? Are you have streets? And I think occasionally bikes come up, but typically it's just sidewalks, walkways, trails, and streets, but nothing related to bikes. So not really.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only place you could really have a bike lane right now would be on Trip, where it would make sense, because everything else you can ride on a sidewalk. Our streets are quiet enough without needing separate cycling lanes.
Right. Okay. Planning and infrastructure for bicycling and walking.
So this was the one that I was talking about
This is
earlier.
sidewalk policy. And alternative fuel structure, best installers, those have kind of fallen off the map. I mean, we've got a few of those installed, but they're not coming around as much as they used to. So I think that there are issues with the installation and the potential dangers involved, but I'm not sure. But we have worked with people in the past, so we probably would do it in the future should they come around. We can, as part of our plans, I guess we could ask, but we're mostly doing residential type programs right now, nothing business related. So I guess if a business came along, we might see if they would be interested in a battery energy storage system. So charging stations, this is something I would like to pursue. Because there are some grants out there for these stations that we could look into for our parks. And that as tie into that, I would like to see at some point the DPW crews test an electric zero turn mower with batteries and so forth, and they will be able to charge batteries while they're using another set on the Harthill Park or one of the other parks. So I will put myself down for that. Actually, Simon, you can, with solar farms, I know you're doing some of this too. I'll put my name down on these, but I know you've got some information and we can kind of work on this together if you'd like.
Yep.
We'll get just as things come up. But I definitely want to pursue grants to get some charging stations in. I looked at the power grid. Somewhere I've got a diagram of the power grid, what can possibly tie into it, and there's pretty good coverage for the village and the parks. So I think we might be good we might be able to do that. It's just a matter of finding a vendor, getting some grants and getting some installations done. And also eventually putting some charging stations on our village campus for employee cars or maybe a DPW pickup or something. So pursue those. Natural resources inventory. Ooh, well, from what I understand, that's a major thing.
Yeah, and I think the town is just finishing theirs up, but they have a whole committee dedicated to doing that, and they've been working on it for a few years. So when they release that, I think it's very soon. Maybe we can just get a copy of it and read through it and see what they did. They had an idea, but yeah, as I said, they did have a whole committee working on that over a period of time.
This might be something that we can give to the Greenway Committee. We're about to wrap up our updated plan, and then we could say to those members, would you be interested in helping us put together a natural resources inventory? I know that's right up Lynn Leopold's alley. I mean, she's really good at that, so she could help us put together something. But I would like to see an example of what it looks like and maybe start piecing one together. But I know that it's not a very quick inventory. From what the Village of Cayuga Heights was working on one too, and so I never heard whether or not they ever completed it. I know they started it, so apparently it's a fairly energy or effort intensive inventory. So
CCE Tompkins has helped communities make those NRIs in the past. I haven't personally worked on one yet, but we have some examples of ones we've helped with, and it would be similar probably to the process of this CAP document if we worked on it with you.
Okay, can you send us a link to those so we can kind of take a look?
Sure, let me write a note of that.
Those two. I don't know if we want to go through another one.
I got a feeling we got enough there in 5 and 6 to keep us busy for a little bit.
Yeah, we do.
I'd rather do them sort of well than
small segment.
than skimming them.
That's fine with me too. Yeah, we can get started on these, and if we go through these and we determine that it's more required than you and I can take care of, then I'll ask Lynn or other members of our task force to help us out too. So we'll just get started on those. So I think that I'm just going back to Zoom here. Stop share. There we go. So I guess that's all I have for this meeting, and we can just start working and look forward to the climate action plan from you, Rachel, next month, and we can start working on these items and have something to report back on those, Simon, if that's okay.
Yep, that works for me.
Okay, then I am going to call the meeting adjourned at 6:51. Thank you both very much, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Simon, I'll see you before then.
Yeah, are you good? Can you stay on for just 2 seconds, Ronnie? Just quickly got a few things.
Absolutely.